Welcome to this 2021 Kia Seltos SX Turbo, often referred to just as the SX. This first generation Seltos began in 2019 and has continued on to present time, but they are announcing a second generation Kia Seltos December 10th of 2025. This car was brought to us by First International Auto Group out of Merrimack, New Hampshire. Definitely check out their site. This Kia Seltos has almost 85,000 miles on it and is listed on their site for just under $17,000 US. The Seltos SX Turbo, which is the top trim here, starts at a base price just under $28,000. And you do get some good amenities on the inside. We have 3 drive modes, we have adaptive cruise control, we have lane follow assist on our steering wheel, lots of safety options in here, partly digital gauge cluster, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, Bose premium audio system, and on the exterior we have this lovely gold color paired with a black top. These 18-inch 5-spoke wheels are also part of the Kia Seltos XX trim. You can't get these on the base model, and they're quite lovely. So it is a snowy day here in New Hampshire, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get to the review today if it, continued on snowing. I mean, I'd practice safety first, so I like to stay off the roads unless I'm doing donuts in a parking lot like some people have been today as I've been filming my B-roll here. But we are out in this Kia Seltos, which is equipped with all-wheel drive. We also have a 1.6-liter turbo 4-cylinder, making 175 horsepower, 165 pound-feet of torque. Fun fact, this is the same SmartStream 1.6 that was in my Elantra N-Line. Thanks, man. Nice job. Okay. All right, so this was the same engine that was... Okay. These drivers today. All right, so this was the same 1.6-liter SmartStream Turbo 4 that was in my Elantra N-Line, but that one had a little more power. It was rated for 201 horsepower, and I think it was like 187 pound-feet of torque. So this thing is still a little detuned compared to that N-Line, but we also have that same 7-speed dual clutch transmission in this one, whereas the base model of these Kia Seltoses get a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder, making a little bit less power, but it also is paired to a CVT, which honestly, I've driven the Hyundai CVT. It's bad. Quite honestly, it's not good. And I mean, no CVTs that I have driven are really all that pleasant to drive, but the Hyundai one is just very unrefined, and it's just not a good pairing with an unrefined engine such as these Turbo 4s and the naturally aspirated 4-cylinders. Regarding this interior, we do get leatherette seats. Of course, we have the Bose premium audio, nice 10-inch touchscreen, which gives you wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. So that part is a plus. We do have this leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is more of like a plasticky feel. I'm not in love with it, but otherwise the ergonomics are good. Buttons are in the right place, such as your lane follow assist, your adaptive cruise control. On the left-hand side, you have you can turn your volume up, you can skip track, and then hang up and take phone calls. Our drive mode button is actually down here in the Seltos, and we have 3 drive modes. One is Smart, the other is Normal, and the third one is Sport. Sport doesn't open up any exhaust valves or tighten any sort of suspension. We don't have an adaptive suspension in here, but what we do have is more aggressive tuning for our powertrain. Kind of basically just holds gears longer. And if you don't intend to do any sporty driving in this car, I would just leave it in normal mode because the gears kind of hang on, and there's no way to manually shift up here. We don't have paddle shifters. You would have to manually shift by placing it into S down here and then using the lever up and down. So if you didn't know what the Seltos was, This car is basically the Kia equivalent of the Hyundai Kona. I was caught off guard by that, genuinely, because this car is a little bit bigger than the Kona, at least in terms of my eyes. In terms of measurements, I will list them here, but I just find it quite surprising that this car and the Kona are siblings. Below the Seltos in terms of size is the Soul, and then above it is the Kia Sportage. I personally think the Kia Sportage is a more ample size. You get a little bit more room in those back seats, which these ones are a little cramped in terms of legroom, and I'm 5'9" and I have about 2 inches of headroom above me. And there's no sort of amenities in these back seats either. You have the ventilation, which is nice. No ability to control it from back there whatsoever. And we also don't have a sunroof in this Kia Seltos, which I'm missing. I'm surprised with the top trim, this one being, just about $28,000 brand new, that you don't get a sunroof. But I believe it was actually an option at the time. So I'm not going to go full throttle. These roads are quite slippery, but this thing does have some good pickup. 0 to 60 is quoted at 7.3 seconds, which sounds slow, but for, a normal compact crossover, it's pretty good. So the design of the rest of this interior is quite nice, to be honest. You have physical buttons for everything, and in a 2021 and moving forward, you're going to see lots of less buttons in cars. It's just happening where, manufacturers are throwing everything in infotainment screens and causing you to go looking for things that used to just be physical buttons, such as your drive mode or HVAC controls or your heated seats, which are equipped in this Seltos SX Turbo. Sport mode at low speeds with this dual clutch is a little crawly. It tends to want to kind of propel you forward, which is a little upsetting and in parking lots or just kind of at crawling speeds in traffic. And wise up, people, if you are in stop and go traffic with these dual clutch transmissions made by Hyundai, definitely always throw it in normal. And the reason for that is because it will try to keep you in first gear longer, which will make you basically kind of like crawl forward. And, with that gear being really short, you'll just kind of always be propelling. Whereas if you shift into second, it's a lot more smooth. It's just like driving a manual transmission car. If you were coming off that clutch a little too fast, you'll kind of lunge forward. And that's what's happening with this dual clutch at low speeds in first gear. And yes, that is probably an inherent problem with these dual clutch transmissions, especially the 7-speed dry type we have here today. But honestly, if you can just throw it in normal mode and avoid having any sort of headaches with that in stop and go traffic, I would just choose to do that. As far as our gauge cluster goes, it's pretty simplistic and a nice and easy design. You have a little digital screen in the middle, which you can show different settings, such as, a compass. You can also show your tire pressure, which is my personal favorite. I always like when cars have this because if you have a low tire pressure sensor going off, you can just kind of click through and see which tire is low and which one you need to fill up, right? It's super simple, super easy to use. And then, of course, we have our tachometer on the left-hand side, speedometer on the right-hand side, along with a digital speed right there in that center screen. So comparing this to the Hyundai Kona in terms of looks, I like the Seltos a little better. I feel like it looks more like an SUV than the Kona does. The Kona kind of has like this inherent egg-shaped crossover look, where this one has a little more solid lines to it. I think the black roof really helps kind of take the appearance of height out of the equation, even though when you step in this car, you're like, oh wow, like the ceiling's tall, it's not too slopey, and you just kind of feel a lot more spacious inside the cabin as well compared to the Kona. Alright, so we're on the worst road in Merrimack, New Hampshire, This is a good way to test the suspension of cars and do a comparison. Basically, we approach them all at 20 miles an hour, see how this thing behaves. So it is a little more compromised going over those harsh bumps due to the shorter wheelbase. But I'd say that, the suspension is nice and soft. It absorbs most of these smaller road imperfections with ease. All right, so while we're stopped, let's go into the smart drive mode and talk about that. So basically, it keeps track of how you're driving over a short period of time and adjusts your drive mode according to kind of how you're driving. And so this is really the only way in Kia products, at least the ones that are equipped with the smart drive mode, this is the only way you get a sort of eco mode. And basically right now we're in eco mode, and you can tell that, the transmission is shifting at very low RPMs, like not even 2,000, and it just kind of feels very unresponsive in terms of the throttle as well. But if I were to hard accelerate, it would eventually put me in sport mode. But my gripe with smart mode is basically that you have to drive like an absolute psychopath for it to engage sport mode. Otherwise, you're basically just in eco the entire time. It'll try to put you in normal sometimes, but basically normal driving, you're going to be in eco. And that's why I tend to just use normal in terms of drive modes in these Hyundai and Kia products. I just feel like it's the most refined drive mode. You're not getting these aggressive shifts from the dual clutch. You're not having your CVT kind of hold on to revs longer if it's equipped with the CVT. And I'm just talking general for, across all of their models, not this specific Seltos, which is equipped with the 7-speed dual clutch. With that being said, if you liked today's video, don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as it helps me source more cars. Thank you again to First International Auto Group out of Merrimack, New Hampshire, for lending me this Kia Seltos for the review. It's listed on their site, so go check it out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.